Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here, and Snickers, she decided to make an appearance. So this video for today I wanted to do is in regards to um, if you're going through hardship, I recommend you to start to find a connection and a relationship with God, because God's love is unconditional versus human love is very conditional. Human love on this planet, the modern dating world is so messed up. Humans have been messed up since the dawn of man. And so I just don't think that certain things in life and love are perfect by any means. But this is why pets have become so popular today, is because you get an unconditional form and amount of love, the same as you do from God. And so human love is very conditional. A lot of it is very egoic. It's more or less of conveniences and what people can get from one another. Can a woman get a certain type of lifestyle by being in love with this man? Can a man get a certain type of sexual experience with a woman and stuff like that? To some degree, in human relationships on this planet, some form of love is going to be slightly conditional and or convenience, in the sense of if we have the same sort of alignment and goals in our future. But the thing is, if you're going through hardship, I know a lot of people are struggling in this dating world. It's because you have so much going on, the things like the ghosting and the orbiting. Orbiting is where people come in and out of your life. It's kind of like the ocean. They disappear for a while, and then when they're bored or whatever, they want something for you, they orbit, they kind of come back in. And a lot of this is psychologically and emotionally damaging to a lot of people, and it's not instilling trust. And when we don't trust people, we can't build relationships. And so it's this ripple effect that the shitty behavior that a lot of people are instilling in these relationships is really damaging and affecting us for our future, because we're going into our future relationships with less trust and being more skeptical. And obviously you have to use your head, but it almost makes people not want to believe in the best in other people. And so I think at this point where I've seen so many people who've gone through divorce or some form of breakup or chronic breakups, relationships are lasting like 1 to 3 months, and then the person bounces or skips town, or maybe not skip town, but they leave, they ghost to go find someone else because they have emotional intimacy issues, or they just really don't want a relationship in general. People are suffering inside. And so when you're suffering inside, the way to find unconditional love, if it's not through a pet, is through God. And there's so much debate on whether God's love is conditional or not. Some people in the Christian community, they definitely say God's love is not conditional. It's he is not here to love people who are just sinning and to do whatever the hell they want. I do agree to that to some degree. I don't think saying, oh, God loves me means that you can just run around and be an asshole to a bunch of people and just be somewhat narcissistic, only thinking of yourself and being super self-centered without having some form of empathy to think like how your actions, thoughts, behaviors, and your words are affecting other people. I made a video that you can look, I'll link it down below, about how we need to have a rise in conscious dating, which is just taking the other person's feelings into consideration. And that happens a lot through honest and open communication. But, sorry, I got cat hair. So I think if you're really trying to build a healthy life and you're trying to go into the path of being spiritual or having some form of a spiritual backbone or foundation in your life, you do have to connect and start to build a relationship with God. I've started to do that recently. I turned 34 on February 7th. I can easily get in my head about being in my age and having to start over in life because of, being divorced at the age of 33 and, being into my mind and self-esteem and be like, who wants to date a 33-year-old? Because obviously it's like, my womb is not as fresh and young as like a 26-year-old, nor are my physical features. When you start looking at yourself up close, you're like, oh my God, I'm getting wrinkles and gray hair. So there's a lot of that goes into place. And so I've been guided a lot by some of my older Christian friends who are either boomers or they were born in like the late 60s, early 70s. So they come from a different generation that's not millennial, obviously. And they've just really been encouraging me to, be with yourself in a place of contentment and start to build a relationship with God and take yourself on a date and have fun. And so when you tap into this higher versus this lower mind, the lower mind of me was like, focusing on the things that I lacked in life. The higher mind of me is the one that's focusing and connecting to God and realizing that as I'm going toward this path of, spirituality and purity, that I'm really trying to reflect God's energy here on planet Earth. Like, I'm not dating multiple people. I'm not even dating anybody. And it's like, I'm not, drinking. I'm not smoking. I'm not doing drugs. I'm open and honest and transparent with people. I am with like that, especially with my clients. It's like, I'm not going around abusing people's relationships and just lending a helping hand. I'm getting rid of food to the homeless people. So it's like, there's certain things like that if you can really start to reflect that unconditional love from God within you, you can start to attract things better in your life. And I think a lot of this comes from a place of being forced, because as I've noticed in this world of being single, when I've been ghosted or gaslighted or whatever, numerous times, it's forced me to think, like, even in the Christian community, I'm like, man, humans are so fickle and so conditional. And so, I've learned a lot from my cat Snickers, who every day provides me such emotional love and support. And I think this is why people love animals and have this like animal obsession nowadays. It's because we're not finding love through humans. We find a lot of judgment and criticism, a lot of flakiness, a lot of in and out. And that animal is always there for you every day. That dog is always at your doorstep, or that dog is going to greet you, like a little golden retriever just greets you with a smile every day. A cat and a dog has a bad day, but like, they just want to give you love every single day, no matter if you've had a great day or a bad day, or, if someone died, they just want to be there for you. Animals have an intuition that can sense when you're low and down, and they just want to provide that love. And I think that's the one thing that is so beautiful about animals, specifically a pet. So if you're going through hardship, I'm not saying that God's love is unconditional just for you to like go around and have sex with a bunch of people and to lie and to deceive and, to be deceptive and stuff like that. Like, that's going to catch up to you. You will have your judgment day when that happens. I've seen this happen so many times. The truth always gets exposed, and people will always, if you're trying to mess around with other people's lives or hearts and their emotions, like, it's just a matter of when that, something will slip through the cracks and you'll either be exposed or caught, or someone will call you out on it. You reap what you sow. It'll catch up to you. But I do believe that, if you're striving to have a good human experience here, God's love is unconditional, and He will, it's probably the most important relationship that you can have on this planet. Because as people come in and out of your lives, whether for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, they will disappoint you. And having that relationship with God and that sense of knowing that He knows you're trying your best, and just, you just have communication and you talk to Him. And what I've noticed in my experience is that, it changes my mindset to see that my life is, the glass is half full rather than it being half empty. It's like, okay, yeah, my glass half empty perspective is I'm 34, I'm on my own, I'm starting from square one again. People who are divorced are judged, that's my glass half empty. The other version is I'm 34, I have a lot of life experience, I know how to make and cultivate a relationship, so being divorced is an asset. And I also know that things like God knows what's in my head and my heart, and He knows that I'm really trying my best in all areas of life. And it's just a point of maturity, and He will build your character through good and hard times. I do think hardship is sent to you to help build your character. And if He wants you, to be a better person, that situation or that catalyst or that trigger is going to happen in your life. But you have to have trust in Him and have a relationship with Him, because Christians might disagree with me. I just don't think He's going to turn your back on you. I've been judged in the Christian community for being involved in yoga and meditation, because that's seen as something that's very, excuse me, demonic. And I found a lot of life answers of, getting the truth exposed on certain things because of doing yoga and meditation. So I believe God spoke to me, but He met me halfway as far as where I was at. And I do think, things like yoga and meditation are very beneficial to help us survive in this society of, stress, and sitting at a desk is not natural. So we have to have some sort of like postural help. On top of like having mental clarity, like things like meditation and yoga can help that. And so I just think these are, there are certain tools and stuff that we can use to help us on our path that God provides for us. So I don't think you're like a messed up human being just because you started to do some yoga. I mean, if you're starting to go into a cult and starting to chant a bunch of stuff in a cave, like then, who knows what energy you're working with there. But I just think that the moral of this video and story is, if we are all a unique human being and no other person on this planet has a blueprint the same as us, God will help us in every single way as possible. And I do believe that He wants you to improve your life, to improve your spirituality and His relationship with you. And when you can start to have that trust and bond and relationship, I think things start unfolding. You start having more synchronicities. You start experiencing, better opportunities and stuff in life that will come your way when you do your work here on the planet, but also continue to connect with Him. So human love is conditional. So even if you've met the love of your life, at some point they're going to disappoint you. Just hopefully it's a disappointment like they forgot to, pick up the dry cleaning, rather than it being a disappointment like, oh, by the way, I slept with my coworker. So, friends can only be depended on for so much. They have their own lives to live, and relationships, and boyfriends and girlfriends, husbands and wives, and things like that. So it's all conditional. I think a mother's love is very unconditional. And so if you can start to connect to those energies that you get from your mother, obviously some people don't have a mother whose love is unconditional. I have a mother who's loved me unconditionally no matter what I've done in my life, or where I've been at, or what part of the world I moved to. And I've been very blessed with that experience, because I don't think a lot of people have that. But just start to connect to those things, and, see that this is the work of God on the planet that's trying to help guide you to better places. So thank you so much for listening. You please subscribe, help me build this channel. You can also support me on Patreon if you believe in my message and my voice. And thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Bye.